Good afternoon or good morning, everyone, or good evening, depending on where you're calling in from. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Introduction to Reporting in Blackbaud Razor's Edge NXT. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. My name is Mark Becker. I'm the founding partner of Cathexis Partners. Again, this is, I think, our third one in this series. It is intended, as the title implies, to be an introduction, so it's going to be some high-level information. Definitely feel free. There is a chat or questions where you can put your questions in. Feel free to ask questions as we go, and we'll have plenty of time to answer those along the way. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll also be providing a survey at the end of this to obviously hear what you thought of the session, and also give us any ideas for future sessions. So if you're looking for other topics related to Razor's Edge, definitely don't hesitate. We have gotten great feedback, and the attendance on these have been incredible, so thank you all for joining us today. Just quickly, a little bit about Cathexis, if you're not familiar. I see a lot of clients on this call, so welcome everyone. Basically, Cathexis Partners, we've been around for coming up on 12 years now. That's why my hair gets grayer and grayer. We help nonprofits of all sizes with their technology. We do a lot. We're a Blackbaud partner. We do a lot of our e-consulting, a lot around net community, a lot around e-tapestry, and a real majority of our work is in Illuminate and TeamRazor. But today we're specifically going to focus on Razor's Edge, and I am going to, for that reason, because I am not an expert, I am going to hand you off to one of our resident experts. Erin, take it away.
Hi, I'm Erin Fleischman, and I am a strategic consultant with Cathexis Partners. I have over a decade of using Blackbaud products, and have been a beta tester and been a user just like all of you. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Here's an overview of what we're going to be doing today. We're going to talk about some of the terminology. We're going to look at some of their standard reports. We're going to look at dashboards and documentation. So terminology is just a way to analyze data. Reporting in NXT is a collection of dashboards. Dashboards are a collection of insights. Insights are visual representations of data that you can put on a dashboard. So real simple. One feeds the other until you can review. We are going to change over here, and we're going to go to hold on, get into my Razor's Edge here. And we're going to, this is our test database, so it's not going to be as robust as what you guys are used to working with. We don't have nearly as many records and so forth. You should all be fairly familiar with how to maneuver and navigate in NXT. The areas that we are going to be looking at are specifically under fundraising, to reporting, and it's a little slow here, I apologize. This is the overview page. So this is the one that automatically comes up when you click into reporting. It updates, as you can see, it says as of 2 hours ago. So it, and as you can see by the chart, we don't have a lot of data in here. So this is overview. What is overview? It's something to quickly assess, give you a bird's eye view of your key metrics. At a glance, you see how well your organization is doing on giving, your campaigns, your top campaigns, your top funds, your top appeals. If you want to know by constituent code, you've got this. In ours, we've got alumni, major donors, and nothing found. The donor life cycle, we're not doing so good. We've got most 7,300 lapsed, and come on, and 235 at risk. Donor life cycle over time. This is letting you know by color what you've acquired, retained. We don't have any that have been recaptured. We have a lot at risk. We have a lot lapsing, and the majority are lapsed. And you can see over time, our best time was here. And so when you start seeing this trend, that's when you need to start looking at what are you doing, how are you doing it, and what can you change. Actions. We only have one past due action, not real helpful. And opportunities. Where are we at in the process? So all of these can be adjusted. You have these little screens. You can change campaign descriptions. You can change fund descriptions. So you can make it just one fund description or one campaign and get the overall view of just that campaign. You have appeals, so you can see how your appeals are doing. You can change the dates. You can decide what date range you want to look at, and you can change it. Click apply, and this will all adjust for that date range. Revenue type in NXT, you've got received and committed. Basic difference, if you're not aware, received is cash in the door. Committed would include like pledges. So, just like it says, received is cash in the door. Committed is you may not have it in hand yet, but they've made a commitment to you to give. Okay. Any questions on the overview? Okay.
Yeah, no questions yet, but again, feel free to drop any questions you might have in the question/chat. So we'll happy, and if you're having any audio issues, apologies. I know that there's several people on this, I think 70 or so attendees, and I'm hearing just a couple of issues with audio, so everybody else can hear just fine. So I'm assuming it is on your end. Either try dialing in or use your computer audio, or if that just isn't getting resolved, we are also going to be we are recording this, and we'll be making it available after the fact. So sorry if you are experiencing technical difficulties, but definitely don't hesitate to shout with any questions. Here's one question for you, Aaron. How do we get the campaigns, funds, appeals, etc. along the top bar? Ours are currently drop downs.
Okay, so in overview, are you seeing an arrow down?
Yep.
Okay, so what
exactly.
happened is it gets too wide here, and so it automatically will roll over to a drop down under overview. It only can handle so many across the top.
And she said, thank you.
So I found that out the hard way too. So I had to delete one and bring it back and to figure out what was going on. So we're going to move on to campaigns. Again, campaigns, you can sort, you can filter down by campaign descriptions. You can filter by funds to those campaigns, appeals, dates. Again, the revenue, you have the choice of, received or committed. You sort by category, fund category, appeal category, and if it's active, true or false, doesn't, you decide. So this will tell you how these are your top campaigns. So if you've got, 10 campaigns going and, you only see 4 up here, these are your top ones. The other ones aren't doing so well. That's what that's going to tell you. If our campaigns actually had a goal amount, you in RE, you would actually see a gold line to show how close you are to your goal. So you would see them, to see how are you doing. And then you always have this part too, progress to goals. And it will tell you how many gifts, how much revenue, average gift, what your goal is, your percentage of goal, if you're over or under your goal by how much. So that's always very helpful also. You have campaign by funds, and this will tell you again, how much are you bringing in on a campaign by fund. And appeals, same thing. It's telling you by the appeals you're running, how are you doing? And by constituency, and then by giving levels. And it breaks it down, the color coding down at the bottom, so you can kind of see what's what. You can also hover over any of these, and it will tell you, what they are. So it doesn't matter which one you're on. You can hover into value, interesting. And so this will help you. If you click on it, it will bring up this little area over here, and you could actually create a list and save it into lists and apply further filters and so forth into those lists. So we'll get into, so you have, filters here, but if you want to do more with it, you can save it as a list into your list. This is to export, this is search, how you do it, more filters. If you're not interested in that, X out, you're all good. Okay. Also shows you campaigns by age group. So how old are people? What is the predominant age group that's giving to each of these campaigns? If you see a trend, that may help you in determining your messaging and so forth moving forward on a specific campaign. Or even if you're planning a new campaign, you could look at some of your older campaigns and see how is that impact. So it's really good for analysis. And you're going to get the idea here. Funds is pretty much, same thing. Funds represent the donor's intent or purpose on how you should use the gift they've given you. So, if they're giving to a specific fund or a specific campaign, they're giving for a specific purpose. They want to make sure that their money is getting used in the way that they're giving it to you. So they want you to be good stewards with their money. And this is kind of, tells you what you're doing, how you're doing. Again, you still have all your filters up here that you can change dates and revenue types and all that. You have your top funds, and this is exactly like the campaigns. You've got the top funds, the progress to goals, funds by campaign, by appeal, by constituent code. You can hover, you can click on them, and get your list over here. And you can either create the list or do some filtering here, whatever you need to do. Good old Jack Test. He's kind of like Robert C. Hernandez. He's our Robert C. Hernandez. So by constituent code, so major donor here, alumni here, no constituent code there. So, and then by giving levels and by age groups. Our next one is appeal.
Actually, there's a couple of questions there, if you don't mind, Erin.
Oh, sure.
Let me see if I get this one right here. Looks like it lets us choose only active funds versus showing the entire list. Is that true, or do you know a workaround?
Under active, you can say...
Yeah, it looks like it should only show active. You can choose only active funds, or can you show the entire list? And yeah, so you can do false or true, or...
You can, right. So if you say only false, so they're not active, is false, and apply. We have none. All ours are active. So.
Got it. That makes sense. And then why is there drop down for fund category when that does not correspond with the fund record in the database view? What are the categories used for, and where are those set up?
Those are set up in the database view, actually.
So you can tweak that in on that end.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. Appeals we're not going to go into because they're just like funds and campaigns, and I think you guys have gotten that, how it's set up. It's the same basic setup. But what I do want to point out is this little blue circle with the eye. If you click on that, maybe it's not going to work for me today. Oh, come on. So usually what it will do is bring up information about the dashboard that you're working on. So it would explain this dashboard. Let's see if this one will work on it. Of course, it's not going to work today. Okay, well, so if you want information about the specific dashboard you're working on, let's see if it's just not liking where I'm clicking.
Yeah, weird.
All right, that is weird. So the other option you have too is if you go up here to the far right-hand corner, that green question mark up here, actually it's a white question mark and a green background, and that will also give you information about that. And you can scroll down and look at all kinds of information. There's all kinds of links and other helpful data. So either one of those will help you out. And that really just bothers me that that's not working. Okay. So
I believe you.
Yeah, so well, it never fails, right?
Murphy's Law.
So we're good on appeals. We're going to move to retention. Retention and acquisition are similar. They have similar goals. Really good for knowing about live events. We're not doing so good. We're not retaining our donors, and we had 13 that gave last year, but not this year. So we also have the revenue, retained revenue, and we have 11 first-year donor retention live events, and then year-to-date 13. So what you still have all your little filters up here that you can do, and this one has some extras, so you can do it just by constituent code. So if you only want to look at a certain constituency group, you can look at that. You can do it by your fundraiser, so you've got all their names that you can select a certain fundraiser. You still have your revenue types, but this is really good for seeing how you're doing on retention. If you're having trouble, it will give you a percentage, and you may have a certain goal that, we want a 30%, donor retention, or, a 50% donor retention rate. This will tell you at a glance, are you meeting your metrics? If you're not, what are you doing wrong? And if I've got these LIBA donors, it's telling me right here, I've got 13 LIBA donors. How am I going to try to engage them and get them giving this year? They gave last year, but they haven't given this year. What did they give to last year? How did that work? So you can make your list, and you can dive into those people and look at them and do some other filtering and such, and maybe come up with a plan, a strategy to engage those live donors, and get them as current donors again. Year-over-year retention, we flatlined. Mark, we're not doing good on this. So, and then
I do have a couple questions that came in when you get to a point.
Okay. Let me just explain rolling donor retention.
Perfect.
This tracks the retention over the past 5 years and how many donors are considered retained. So if you see a downward trend, like we're doing good and then we're dropping, you need to look at your donor acquisition and retention and look for some help to re-engage those donors, to re-engage them, get them retained. So really good tool. Questions?
Yeah. So, can I see whether a gift has been retained based on campaign, fund, or appeal and not based on gift date? Some of our campaigns spanned calendar years, like September 2019 to August 2020, for example, so I don't feel like my retention reports are accurate if they are based on gift date alone.
Yeah. You've got your category and for both campaign and fund, so you can look at it that way. And I know there's some Blackbaud people on here, so maybe they can answer that question. Is it hard coded for the date? Because we do not have that option of changing a date range. So, but live events, I mean, that's automatic. It's last year, but unfortunately not this year. So that's a hard code. But
Gotcha. Another question that came in was, can I search for a fundraiser, or do I have to scroll through the entire list? You know, if there's like 400 plus fundraisers, that gets a bit out of control.
Yeah, if we clear them all, and I think you just have to scroll. It's the only way I've ever been able to. I've never been able to like even hit the first initial and gone in or anything. It just, so yeah, unfortunately, as far as I know, you have to scroll.
Fair enough. Do you need to set a fundraisers to view this report? Do you need to set a fundraiser?
There are permissions.
Mm-hmm.
In both the database view and the web view, everything is permission based. So if people do not have permission to view dashboards, they will not be able to see this. So, and basically, let's go back to overview real quick, just because I know I gave you a verbal terminology, but so this is the overview dashboard. This is an insight. You know, the gifts, the top campaigns is an insight. Top funds is an insight. So when we talked about insights make up dashboards, dashboards make up reporting. So hopefully that helps a little.
It does. Oh, and then getting back to that whole search thing, where the question about searching, I think in that previous, when you had that drop down, I believe you could search inside of that from there. Yeah, the search.
You can do. So let's look and see if we can. We'll look for Nelson. So we're going to clear everybody, and we're just going to look for. So
yeah, there you
go. I apologize. There you go. You are accurate.
That was provided by a couple of different folks on the line. So we're group crowdsourcing.
And I do apologize. You're right. We learn as a group. It takes a village. So here we go. Are we ready for the next one?
Go for it.
Okay. Acquisitions. Everybody loves to acquire new donors. And it's, again, very similar to retention. It gives you insight regarding acquired donors and acquired revenue. You can compare your acquisition rates against the previous year's acquisition. Is it up? Is it down? Why is it up or down? If you see a downward trend, maybe you need to analyze, why you're seeing that. What changed? Did you get an extremely large gift? An extremely large one-time gift last year that, you don't have this year, that's going to skew, the numbers and so forth. So we acquired one new donor and revenue of $350. As you can see, our acquisition rate and revenue acquisition rate aren't so great, but it's better than the flat line we had going. So this blue line was 2 years ago. The yellow line was last year, and this little green line that's flatlining right along that blue line is this year. Year-over-year revenue acquisition, self-explanatory. Last year we were doing pretty good. It looked like we were flatlining. We went up. We flatlined a little while, and then we went up. So for the year, we actually did pretty good. We got almost up to 48%. And then again, rolling donor acquisition is just like rolling donor retention. So any questions on this area?
Nope.
Okay, I will tell you right here in this far right hand, it shows the default view. The little clock, if you hover over it, it shows you can schedule to email the dashboard. And this on any of these dashboards, you can schedule to email them out. So if you're sending them out to development team or to development officers, you can schedule these. You can download them as a PDF, and you can export them as either a PDF or as an Excel document. Okay, just in case you didn't hover over those and see that. Our next one is opportunities. And opportunities can help you build relationships with your prospects, can help you secure major gifts. Key metrics in this dashboard can help you drive your actions and your next steps in building that relationship and securing that gift. It also tells you if you're handling your opportunities correctly. Are you asking for the right amount? Are your asks diversified to support your organization? How long does it take to get an opportunity funded? These are all questions, that this can help answer. So we've got 43 opportunities. We asked for just over $35.5 million. We're expecting almost $34.5 million. So, asked to expected is actually pretty good. If you look at our actually funded, we're way off. So maybe what our expectations are a little high, and maybe we should be getting a little more realistic on what we're doing. So this will give you a list of current opportunities, their status, who they are, who the constituent is, the purpose, the date, and the expected amounts. Opportunities by status, so what point are they at in the pipeline? By purpose, those opportunities, what are they for? For us, the majority of them are for the annual fund or capital projects. Research endowment is up there also. And it will show you, if you hover over the bars, just like anywhere else, it'll give you information on the numbers for that bar, so you don't have to try and guess. It gives you projection accuracy, so 98% expected versus asked. We were really close. Funded versus expected, not so close. So we seem to be pretty far off on, how much we get in versus what we ask and what we expect. So, $991,000 difference between the two. So this also tells you the average time that you're doing between the expected and the asked, the funded versus asked. So it gives you some date ranges. So how long is it taking? Here's your average times. Opportunities by campaigns, by funds, by fundraisers, by prospect statuses. And again, you can hover and it'll give you information on any of them. So any questions on this tab?
What fields in the RE record need to be filled out to get the information in the opportunities reports?
Well, date asked, date expected, amount asked, amount expected, when it gets funded, the amount funded, the date funded, obviously the name of the ask, the constituent, the opportunity status, the purpose. I mean, if you want the data to fill in here, you have to fill in the status. You have to fill in the purpose. You have to fill in which campaign it is, which fund it's for, who the fundraiser is, what that prospect status is. All that information needs to be filled in if you want to see it on these.
Yep, that makes sense. And is it special permissions to be able to view opportunities?
It's special permission to if they have dashboards, if they have permission to view dashboards, then they can see all the dashboards, unless somebody created a private one that they are not sharing.
Got it.
These ones are usually the open ones.
And what does reporting relate to and differ from, or how does reporting relate to and differ from lists and report builder under analysis? What should each be used for?
We'll be getting to that.
Perfect.
So yeah, we will be getting to that. Actions.
And by default, I think when you're talking about the permissions to be able to view opportunities, that's kind of the default settings, but you can get more granular and remove permissions if you chose to, right? Yeah.
Correct. If you have the admin privileges, you can set it up a little differently, yes.
So your organization, if you can't see them, that might be the reason.
Right. Yeah. So you would talk to your admin and ask for the permissions to at least be able to view, if not manage. So, and then actions, again, you have categories, types, they're completed, their status. If you want to limit them by constituent code or who they're assigned to, set a date range you can do. And this will tell you, how your fundraisers are doing. If they're getting out there and they're, doing actions, if they're talking to people, if they're getting them completed, it looks like we're doing good on keeping them completed. We have a few that are past due. Looks like a lot of mailings and a lot of emails. Few meetings, a lot of phone calls. Other, that can be whatever you guys choose it to be. It could be an advocacy. It could be whatever you deem it to be, that category. So any questions on that?
No, good stuff.
Okay. We can click on find. We can add benchmarking or recapture. We won't do recapture. It's very similar to retention and acquisition. So as you can see, it says see donors who gave during the current fiscal year after more than 15 months since their previous gift within the past 5 years. So you can click on that and it'll show up there. We will look at benchmarking. This is a really cool one, I think, depending on what your organization, is. If you're in higher ed, it would show you higher ed information. If you're in healthcare, it would compare you to other healthcare. So what Blackbaud has done is they kind of pulled all this data and put it together so you can see, here's you. This is us. Mark, we're at 0% on retention rate. The average is 46.07. So it tells you, the percentages, and you will see where you stand against your peers. So, and it kind of gives you an explanation over here, and it gives you some recommended links, and it also gives you some best practices things over here. So really good resource on this information. So,
yeah, that actually addresses one of the questions someone else had, like what the average was. So this benchmarking stuff is really helpful.
Right. So we actually have two that hey, this one, 5.92 is good, and we're at 7.76, so we're doing good on this one. So
way to go with our fake data.
Right. So, I mean, yours will look much different than this, hopefully. um, so, but a lot of good information, a lot of good resources here. So, really, really cool tool to have. And if I were to add for that one person that if I add recapture, oh, it stayed. I was going to say, usually they all go away and it goes to overview for the drop down. I was for the one person that had asked that. So, and this is, like I said, just like acquisition and retention. Any questions?
Are we able to exclude certain types of gifts, like tributes, since they're typically one time?
Not that I'm aware of, unless you have them under a certain fund or category. But usually, tribute gifts are, to your general fund or to a very specific thing. So you can't just exclude them based on that. But you could build one, and that's a whole nother section based on a query where you would use a query to exclude those gifts and then build it from there. So,
and can you move the tabs around left or right or hide them?
You can. You just grab. Didn't drop it right. Come on.
That one it doesn't like. It has the red circle there. Oh, they all do.
They all do, but I've moved them before. I wonder if they've. I have been able to move
new
them
feature
previously, but because they are changing things all the time. Overview is always here, though. You cannot move overview. I used to be able to reshuffle these, but I am not. So, any other questions on this one?
Not at this time.
Okay. So let's go on. So the question on Report Builder. It's under analysis. We go to Report Builder. You need to know about this. We won't go too far in on this because it is an added feature, but it is something you should be aware of. You can. It comes with certain insights to build more. Let's see what they're. And correct me if I'm wrong, Blackbaud people on the line, it used to be that to build custom ones in here, it was an extra fee. So, this one's not doing anything. Yeah, it doesn't look like. I think you have to pay a fee on this one for it to actually. So, but if you pay the fee, you can actually build custom ones. And you could actually, so on the one that was asking about excluding tribute gifts, this would be one of the areas where you would be able to do that.
Got it.
So the other option you have is you can, with Report Builder, you can design and manage insights and dashboards. There are pre-configured ones, as you can see, and you can build custom ones. If you don't have Report Builder, you don't have that subscription, you can still use Crystal Reports in the database view, and that still allows you to build custom reports and dashboards. So you do have that opportunity. So lists. Lists are great. People think they're really complicated. They're not terribly complicated. Don't let them scare you. You have to figure out, what are you trying to accomplish with this list? What's your purpose? What is the best way to get there? Is it by data, by location, combination of the two? So you have to decide what you want to do. So let's see. I'm gonna say, we're gonna do in Charleston, South Carolina. And I know from past experience in our analytics that we only 10% of all invitees either don't respond or don't show. So we're looking to have an intimate little event with maybe 10 guests. So that means we need to invite around 12 constituents. So we're going to choose the constituent and we're going to list. We're going to focus on filtering. The little funnel is your filter. We're going to filter because our event is going to be a location, and we are going to select radius. We're going to search for our area that we want it, Charleston, South Carolina. So this is where we want to be, and we're going to say within 100 miles of Charleston, South Carolina. We're going to apply filters, and let's see what we get. Yeah, all right. It shows right here that we have 67 constituents. That's way too many. We don't we want an intimate. So we know that this is just way too far. So I'm going to cut it in half. We're going to go down to 50. We're going to apply the filter. We're down to 19. We're closer. Still not where we want to be for our invites. We're going to go. I don't want to go too much lower, so we're going to go into giving. We're going to say, let's say total giving. And they gave greater than or equal to $1. So they just had to actually give a gift. We don't care what they gave. We've got 12. Perfect. That's where we want to be. That's our list. So you can see how you can mess around with it. There's lots of different filters, lots of choices that you can use. You've got constituent codes, prospect status. You've got all these different choices, and you can scroll down, see all kinds. You got your tags, your birthdays, ages, all kinds of things with the giving, different gift types. Location we've looked at. You can do marketing, including or excluding for, based on their solicit codes, wealth ratings. If you're at higher ed, maybe you want to do something based on a degree or the school name. Maybe you're, one of the schools is having a 100-year anniversary and you want to invite all prior graduates. And then we have custom fields that you can also use. So, any questions so far?
Nope. Some great feedback, though, from folks out there saying it's covering great things, and then others are interested in more advanced sessions, which we plan on doing further down the road. But of course, if you want, kind of custom advanced training, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to offer that up. But as far as these free webinar series go, we're trying to kind of find the best topics to cover the most needed elements for folks, but appreciate all the feedback. And like I said before, we will be having a survey at the end of this, so definitely let us know what you think of the session, and let us know what you think for the future. Now, off my soapbox, let me get back to the questions out there. If someone accidentally a reporting email, how can they get resubscribed?
I'm sorry?
Oh, sorry, I think I was broken up there a little bit. If someone accidentally unsubscribes from a reporting email, how can they get resubscribed? Does that make sense?
So I'm guessing we're back over here. So I'm not sure what you mean. Are you talking about here where you're scheduling that out to somebody, or are you
I'm guessing
talking
the
about?
same thing. Yes, that's what she's talking about from there.
So you're kind of limited. So I've got that it's being sent to me every day on a certain day. I think you would just have to reschedule them. If they accidentally unsubscribe from it, you just come in and reschedule it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds right. And if that doesn't work for you, depending on your email service, I know with like if you're using Gmail, you can always do your name, your email address. Like mine is Mark at Cathexis Partners. You can do Mark +1 at CathexisPartners.com if that for somehow has been blocked. It treats it like a new one.
Right. So, and you may want to talk to your database administrator too, because there may be something in the background that they can do to unblock you.
Great.
Okay. So back to
Sorry, I took us off topic.
That's okay. Want to answer questions? That's what we're here for. So on this, once you've got your list, you need to make sure that you save it, and you have 3 options here: save as a new list, save in the database view as a static query, or save in the database view as a query list. There are different reasons you would save it in the database view. So if you save it in the database view, you can do some other manipulation there with some other filters and so forth. If you just save it as a new list, it's just going to stay here. You have to, it's pretty much what it says. You know, when you're doing a save, if you save it as a new list, you have to name it. I suggest you give it a description that everyone can understand. So we'll just say Charleston event. I know that's not great, and we'll say private event. So down here, no one else can access. That means nobody's going to be able to look at this list. Nobody's going to be able to access this list. Nobody's going to be able to use this list. If you see others can view it, then they can look at it, but they can't change anything. If you say others can manage, then they can come in, they can manipulate, they can change it, etc. So you have to decide how that list is going to be used. I'm gonna say others can view and save. The other thing you have to decide is you can choose to share this list. So say you've got an events team that needs this list. You can share it. You do, in order to do this, you do have to save it and name it. So, and then you just copy this link and email it to them, and they will have access to it. So, you know, and you have to at least give view privileges for them to see it. So once you've got that, you're ready, you're done, you want to export it, you can click export. You'll see down the lower right-hand corner, it was a blue square saying it was exporting. It turned green when it said it was complete. And then download file, you click on that, and you tell it where you want to download that file to. Okay? And that's, I mean, more or less, these are all your filters. This is your columns. Let's close filters. These are your columns. You can change your columns. You can add, remove, move them around. And as you can see, you have a ton of choices. for those that you will see here. You can, let's see if this one will work. You can move these. I was going to say, with my left, you can't move these either. So you can adjust their size, so forth. You can sort, so you can click on them, they'll resort. So that is the whole thing in a nutshell. Just any questions before I move on?
No questions at the moment.
Cool. We're going to switch back over, and I apologize. We're going to go documentation. If you've done my before, you know I'm big on documentation. Make sure you have a policy in place for your reporting metrics. What is the metrics? What is included? What is excluded? You know, what makes that metric? Once you have the written policy, write a procedure to support that policy. Keep it somewhere that, you know, the people that need it have access to it, can look at it, understand it, follow it, so that, you know, your organization is following a standard, so that your reporting is good. So no matter who pulls the report or the dashboard or the insight, that you are doing it consistently. And, you know, there's nothing worse than asking 5 different people for the same report and get 5 different reports. Which one's right? Well, they're all right in that person's mind that pulled them. If you have a metric, you have a policy, you have a procedure that supports that policy, you will not have that problem. Okay? So I'll get off my soapbox on that one. You now know the basics of reporting in NXT. Right?
I like it.
I know. I usually have the dancing, you know.
Yeah, I know. I was like looking for the Star Trooper.
I usually do them, and I decided to change it this time. I thought, well, you know, people might be getting tired of the Star Troopers. So, and any further questions?
Yeah, definitely. As we wrap up, if there's any other further questions, feel free to drop those in the chat, or feel free to contact us. Never hesitate. We're glad to put on these free webinars. But again, feel free to reach out to us if you need additional support or want some custom training. And at the end of this, it should pop up, if we did this right, it should pop up with some a survey question, a couple or two at the end. Definitely let us know what you thought, and if you have any other ideas for future content. But really appreciate everybody joining us today, and really appreciate obviously Aaron leading this. I've learned something today, so if you can teach me something, that's saying something. So thank you, Aaron, for your time, and thanks to everybody for joining us today.
Thank you all very much. We appreciate it.
Have a great day.